Hi everyone, would you believe it's this time of year again? May the 4th be with you. A whole year has passed, it's 2023 and it's nearly 8 years since this game was first released, and I wanted to do in this clip a slight review of all the stuff that we've built over the years and to ask the big question: is this the greatest Star Wars game ever made? Now I'm only going to show you levels that I've created, so none of this content was the original campaigns. These are levels that we created over the years and had fun building and creating. But the attack on Scarif, we've got the attack on the beach where we've got them running through all the trees. It's just, there's so much creativity you've had with this game, and I don't believe anyone really appreciated what you could do. I mean, we have the speeder. I'm doing speeder bike chase through Mos Eisley Spaceport. Where else can I get to do that? Now, don't get me wrong, Jedi Survivor looks at an amazing game. Battlefront 2 was great, but this game accounted for anything. I could do a speeder bike through a city. I could do space battles if I wanted to. I could even do something that Battlefront 2 could never do. I could be on the ground on the battle, jump in a ship and fly up and have a space battle. It's just the range of what you could build this game, and I'm only concentrating here on Star Wars. Don't get me wrong, we had Marvel to do, we created Marvel levels, we had all the Disney characters, and because it was Toys to Life, I believe that that's what people just instantly thought it was a kids game, and I think that could have been its downfall. I think that was its biggest issue. It's designed for kids, and I don't know how you could sell it this day on what it builds. The Sandbox is just absolutely amazing. I've had so much fun over the years playing this, and I'm still not finished yet, by the way. This is not my greatest hits and we're going to end up creating. I've still got levels to come. I'm still going to be building bits and pieces. But the space battles were brilliant. The TIE fighters flying through, the sounds were good, the Star Destroyers. Everything about this game I just loved, and I loved the range that we could do in this particular level. I mean, we had things where it wasn't just fighting. We could create Jedi changing grounds. These were my Pillars of Dooms. And it's a while since I've been back to this level again, but it was just the varied range of we can do. And this is a training ground I designed where you had to get across the pit with all these moving objects. This doesn't exist in any game I've ever come across. So it's what you wanted to build, what you could think of, you could do. And it was so good looking as well. I mean, there's no other game I know I can play as Ahsoka. With her TV show coming out, there's nothing that allows me to do this, and it's just so much fun. It's been a blast playing, and I don't think I'll ever get bored of playing this game. I mean, one thing I've noticed by going through and just looking at all the clips we've done over the years is just how much we've come along and what we've learnt, how this engine worked. If this game only stayed the test of time, we'd have created some amazing toy box. And that's just a shame. It's just a pity that something like this has lost. A lot of people, generations, have even missed it. But it was so much fun building. And look, we just get across. But we had games like this which tested your skill. I created mind games as well. So we had certain levels on the Scarif where we had to do a bit like a mastermind game. So in this case, you had to press different floor patterns, and we had to try and get coloured tiles so they would appear on the screen. If anyone can remember this level. The objective here was to try and get the right sequence that would give you all the colours. And if you've got all one colour, then it would open a side panel door within the base that allows you to go and blow it up. So it was, again, you were able to come up with the logic, and it would allow you to build that within your level. And this is just part of the one level. If you review the whole level here, we had the space battle, we had the ground battle. This was all part of the same game. So you could mix it all up. And there's just been nothing like it, nothing as powerful as this. I mean, we could create Scarif maps, and then we could create things that are still not created to this day. Like, for example, the transporter trains on Vendor. This is another thing, that level, I think this level here, where we did the high trains, where we had the trains up in the mountains going around as a backdrop, I think this was one of my better levels that I ever created. But the detail of this, where we were able to not only have the trains, but we could then ride on top of the trains. And the fact that we were able to ride on top of the trains, we also to be able to change the perspective, and I'll review that a bit later on as well. But not only did we ride the trains, we were able to fight them, and more importantly, we got to destroy them. And this was probably my favourite level I ever created. But the best part of this was when we derailed the train, and that moment looked something like this. just allowed us to create anything we like. And you got to admit, I still love watching that happen. But it just wasn't trains that we destroyed as well. We also destroyed Star Destroyers, and I think I destroyed a fair few Star Destroyers, like the one we did on top of Scarif, where we had them collide into each other, and then they rotate round in a spiral aspect. This was directly after you had to shoot the targets on the Star Destroyers to start with, and once you shot enough targets, that would then get them to collide and spin down, and they would crash into the gate, and once the gate was crashed in, you could then fly down and land on the ground. Up till then you couldn't do that, because if you flew down you blew up, but again, it all came down to what you could think of and put together, and your only basically restrictions with this was what the console could allow you to do. If they could only keep this going, the limitations of this would have been amazing, really good. But I did blow up a number of Star Destroyers. I also blew up planets, and in this particular one we did the trench run with Starkiller Base. You had to go and pinch your Falcon, and then you could fly through and create your own trench run. And the trench run within the campaign games that you got with the game were just as good, by the way, if not better. So just playing the campaign games were amazing. But the fact that you could choose to build this yourself and create how it looked, it was just so much fun. And something I've never got bored of. And looking back at some of these levels, I look now and I know I could do them better now that we've got to know more and more about how the engine works. And now we know what the limit of the engine can do, we can really now push it. But in this one we had to shoot the targets on the reactor, and by shooting enough targets it would then blow the whole planet up. And my flying was never good, and after all these years it still hasn't got any better, but I still just loved all the different things we could do. But this is not like the greatest hits and it's all over. We are going to carry on building toy box levels. This is definitely not the last time you'll hear from me. The problem we get is just the time. Like I say, it's been 8 years. My kids are now grown up. They're now at university, costing me a fortune. But it's now, just learning what we can do and probably still playing it. Until they probably bring out a game better than this, I'll still be doing this Infinity Clips. I mean, the Dreams was close. I hear the Dreams are shutting their servers down. Dreams were really good. The only problem with Dreams is that I think it was too big. And the fact that you could use preset assets in building your levels, you could make your level very quickly, and it would still look really effective. And when you shoot the reactor down, those are the days when we could put text on. I miss those. If they'd kept that text routine going, how much more the adventures would have been. That killed a lot of the community once you couldn't type in what you have to do. That did lose a lot, but it's still been fun creating adventures on different types of games. I mean, I'm now going to fly out while the whole thing blows up. It's just awesome. Now, I've played most Star Wars games when they've come out. There was a game called Rebel Assault back in the 90s. The TIE Fighter game on the PCs I used to play. Obviously, every version of the Battlefront 2 games, which I've just loved. Fallen Order, all those have been really good. But there's not been one Star Wars game that I've played. In fact, this game alone, I put more hours in this game than any game I've ever played. And we're not talking by a couple of hours, we're talking by a couple of thousand hours difference. I've played so much in this game, it's just absolutely brilliant. And I love Star Wars and I love the sound of these ships. I mean, I just love blowing stuff up as well. I just love how I can destroy the Star Destroyers and make them crash into the ground. And when when looking back at these clips, one thing I've noticed is how far we've come along. Now, obviously, the development for Disney 3.0 finished in 2015, but our knowledge on how to build games has got better, and the community is still out strongly. And that's if you check, there's loads of people doing clips today. But this level here was the one I did in lockdown, which was a Mos Eisley spaceport, where I had the ships flying through and making the life games like. I think this is when I finally started to understand how to build the level, take things into place, making sure there's enough movement space, taking other people's ideas, making the objects come to life. This was the first time where I actually thought my levels looked like something that you could buy on a playset, and I was really pleased that we changed it from there. But that took years, bits of practice, and my gaming experience has improved, and it's definitely an industry I wish I'd got into. I am a developer in my own time, but I make business systems. I don't make game software. Game software as I'd like to go, but I'm probably too old for that now. Mate, you never know, one day. I even built cities, and just, I love this. This level was quite good. This was a nice fun level. And what we did with this one, I wanted to work out Star Destroyers coming out from hyperspace. And just, that was the key thing. I didn't understand why Disney Infinity, when their servers went, you lost that text tool. Because that made the whole adventure that little bit nice. I still miss those to this day. But I love the fact we had the Star Destroyers turn out, and then we got the shuttles come down and land. I think the clip I did on this one, this was a few years ago. Again, there's tweaks to this level I would do. And I think what I'm going to do is, like I said, I'm going to review a lot of my old levels, and I'm going to probably do remastered versions, tidy them up, and just now make them as good as Mos Eisley. But there's so many different parts to this game that people underestimate, and will dismiss it straight away. They see it's toys to life and dismiss it straight. Even the top reviewer people just don't take any knowledge. The guys who created the Hogwarts Legacy game, they were questioned about how good of developers they were, and were questioning, is it going to be a good game? And the Hogwarts game is amazing. And guess what? It was built by the guys who did Disney Infinity. Of course it was going to be amazing. But if you'd known how good Disney Infinity was, you wouldn't have had doubted it. But yeah, I'm now gone straight from a ground to a space battle. Battlefront 2, eat your heart out. You couldn't do that. And I was able to do that in 2015. It's so good. And the sound is just amazing. And the other thing I quite like doing is that I could take assets that I've done before, and I could reuse them in another land. So I could change. So this basically is the same level, but I've just changed it now to look like a desert, using the same ships landing, but now it lands on a ground planet. It's just, the power was amazing. I don't think there'll ever be a game like it. I mean, we weren't always being invaded. Sometimes we did the attack at my Separatist space station. I love this one. I wanted to try and create circles. I even created a Death Star. I don't think I'm showing a Death Star in this clip, but I was able to create a Separatist space station. It was just so cool what we could build, and it was like it did that. And then not only that, not only create a space station, I could even fly through it. Sadly, there is a bigger version where we have multiple ships going across, and I somehow lost that version. I have to rebuild it again. I realised that's no longer available on my save file. I think it got corrupted and lost. But look at this, I'm now flying through a space station. Where the hell can you do that? That's so much fun. So, if you don't think this was the best Star Wars game, tell me which one it is, but tell me why. Because if you wanted space battles, you had space battles. If you wanted ground battles, you had ground battles. You had the varied lot. You had chases, game sports. The other thing that I mentioned earlier, you could change the game in a different perspective. So here I've got a maze level of Hoth, and you could do it in a overview perspective view. So you could do it from the top, so I could see more action coming down. The fighting techniques for the characters were absolutely amazing. But if you didn't want that technique, you could change the view back to being in third person. And the fact that you could switch between the two was brilliant. I mean, Cyberpunk's a first person game. I still don't understand why I can't have it in third person like The Witcher. But again, you could switch around, you could change the view. So look, this is the top one view of the game, and then I can play the exact same level, just switch it, and now I'm in third person view. And it's a totally different type of game, but I can control it in the same way. And again, a level that I've created. I created a massive maze where you went through, but the fighting technique was so much fun in this. It was so good. Yeah. And you'll notice today, like I said, there's lots of Disney Infinity creators putting a load of clips out there. Go and have a look at what they're still building and still be able to do. With all these great TV shows coming, you'll see there'll be an endless list of these clips. And I'll still keep building Disney Infinity clips. Hopefully going to try and find more time because it's been a bit manic. But I've still got Avenger clips to make, more Star Wars clips to make. I've even got Back to the Future clips to do, Pirates of the Caribbean to do as well. There's so many more clips to do and build. Keep watching this space. So this is not the end, it's just been a while, but we will get back there and make some more of these. How much fun was this game? Ahsoka's by far my favourite character. In the TV shows, in the cartoons, and in this game. They were just amazing. And we even could do pod racing. And the sound, by the way, seriously, play this at full volume. The sound of this pod races, the pod car, whatever they're called, is absolutely flipping amazing. And there you have it, everybody. There are some of the levels that we've created over the years. There are more to come. There are a couple of levels that people are still asking me to do. But I want you to now think, is this the start of Great Star Wars game? If not, what is the Great Star Wars made? Because I think there's nothing to compete this. But I need to get back and start creating levels, because some of you are waiting for me to do certain levels, and one level I've halfway done and not got there. Yep, that's right. I haven't finished this level off. The Rebel Transporter. That is still yet to come. I've still got more to complete, so we will get that done. But my Rebel Transport level, still working on it. 2 years in the making, but it'll be worth the wait. Like my Han Solo level, it'll be worth the wait. Everyone, may the Fourth be with you, and have a great Star Wars day. Thanks for all your support over these years, and there is more to come.